KE, and we'll be more than happy to hear from you. For now, we'd like to hand over to Spice FM, where we're going to be looking at what's making headlines in the Convergence with the Situations Room. Over to Spice.
I am very well this morning. And how are you, Eric?
I am fine, thank you.
And Ndu, how are you?
I'm fine, Siti. Good morning.
Trix, how are you?
Very well, thank you.
And Wajiro, how are you?
Happy to be here.
All right. So you were off mic. Now, can you do that again? Closer to the mic. Or on mic. Start.
Ningependa kutupa salamu.
Very good. How do you do, Nduako?
I do. Always.
Oh, all right. So, no, actually, let's... With those few remarks. Shall you agree? All right, so let's take a look at the headlines. Of course, a lot happened between the last time we were here. So the following took place between 10 a.m. and 6 a.m.
Only in Kenya.
Only in Kenya.
Yes.
One, there's a county that is no longer having a governor with a portfolio. So we have a governor without portfolio in Nairobi.
Yeah.
What does it mean to not have a portfolio?
Well, Tuju knows that very well. Now Sonko will know.
Tuju wasn't a governor.
So now we have a governor basically who has half of his functions taken away by the national government. And then, of course, the other half are functions that he has not been able to perform very well. But that's not the discussion. The point is the national government has taken over some of the functions of the county government of Nairobi.
Right, and to outline some of those include the county health services, the county transport services, and the public works, utility and ancillary services, and county government planning and development. Very key, areas that, without, I wonder what he has left to do.
But, and the reasons behind this coup?
Yes, coup is the word.
Yes.
Yeah, this is what they called it. And
Abject illegality. Those powers are not the governor's to give to the president.
No.
Yes, because you needed the county assembly to have passed a bill. And any bill going through the county assembly has to have public participation so that the 4 million or so Nairobians can have their say on whether they are dissatisfied enough with Governor Sonko that they give the functions back to Nairobi,
absolutely.
To the national government.
Yeah, and that's the trickiest bit with the whole Sonko debacle, because the fact of the matter is this is an elected leader, whether you like it or not, and therefore there are certain processes that are supposed to be followed before any power is taken away from him. Even whether the court decides you cannot access the office because of this and that, it still boils down to, is he governor or not?
What I like about these precedents, that it means that we, the people, since the power is actually rests with us, can also decide to do the same for the presidency.
Hello. Nice. Whoa. Nice. Yes. It's the season of coups.
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
What is worrying is you may find that Kenya is unable to perform some functions, and therefore some of those functions can be given to another friendly government
Yes.
to perform. For example, the running of ports or key infrastructure like airports and the Mombasa port and the Lamu port. We could just transfer those functions to another government that could do it much better.
For us?
Well, the interesting
For
thing
us.
is that national government is taking over Nairobi county functions. National government has run the economy to the ground. It is totally inept at running its own functions. Why would it want to take on more?
The question is who picking between which poison, which is better for the people of Nairobi, because over and over we've been told everything is grinding to a halt because the county government cannot work as usual. So now I know the national government isn't doing really well.
With the exception of our favorite county, Makueni.
Yes.
Almost every
actually.
other county in this country is on its deathbed.
A city that is alarmist and
That's
untrue.
sweeping,
On what
very
basis do you
sweeping
say
remark.
that?
Right.
Okay, take a trip to counties.
Tell me, give me 5 counties that are not in the ICU. 5.
What do you mean by ICU? If you
ICU
look at
means-
revenue raising,
Wajiro, you work with counties. Just give him one.
Elgeyo Marakwet,
City, go on.
of course,
that's
Makueni
Oh,
is
you're
there,
fine.
Kitui, Machakos. There are so many counties that
Those are
I'm
just
trying to
4.
think about,
You're the
even
fifth one.
in Western. Because what you look at,
Say Kakamega.
look at their revenue raising. about half of those counties are able to raise sufficient revenue, even though they have low revenue basis, sufficient revenue when added to the shared revenue to run their services. So counties are functional. There are then a number of other counties that are not able, that are critically under-resourced. But having said that, if you look at the actual indicators, access to healthcare has expanded under counties, not narrowed, since 2013.
Expanded meaning?
More people are getting healthcare coverage, and the indicators are improving for maternal health, for, I think, even child mortality. So you've got critical indicators that are improving despite the MCAs who are always doing benchmarking in other countries and wasting our money, despite the corruption. So county governments, then you look at access to services, access to water, you look at access to healthcare, access to early childhood education. That has deepened. There are parts of this country that did not have national government presence. Did you go to Turkana, for instance? If you had gone to the northeastern...
I have been to Turkana.
Yes. If you had gone before 2013 and you go now, it's like a different world. Marsabit, same thing. Go to the northeastern...
So there's improvement.
There are places that did not have national government presence. Now, the people who have lost marginally are counties like Nairobi.
The urban counties.
The urban counties. Not
the
all.
erstwhile developed counties.
Well, I think it's definitely an interesting debate because at this point you're looking to Nairobi at one point or another to raise the profile of the entire country by virtue of the fact that it is a capital city.
Right.
And then you're looking at a regional hub at the same time. So Nairobi cannot continue to be in the limbo that it has been in the last, 12 or so months. Even when there was a governor at the seat, there were still complaints. So I think that is where the drive comes from, because you're looking at a city above other cities. If you want to look at the country itself, if you want to look at the region where Kenya, of course, is a powerhouse, you don't want to see that the profile of the city has been lowered in the manner in which it has been.
Absolutely, and
that's the crux of the matter here.
I would have loved if this would have happened from the word go, that when we were having devolution being put into actualized, they wouldn't have allowed all the services that are delivered to the people in Nairobi, and by extension even the look of the country to the international world. I would have hoped that they would have considered all that and
46
not just,
counties and Nairobi.
Yes, and not piled it all on one governor who clearly might have been overwhelmed with his capacity in terms of delivery.
He signed away. He signed it away yesterday.
Yeah.
No, it's not his to sign away.
It's
he may
not
have
his.
done that. Whether it holds up in court, whether this process will actually hold up is a different question. He may have signed it. This is Sonko. He's a maverick. He's outside.
No, not just that, Wanjiru. I mean, there was the Attorney General of the Republic who understands the law. You've got the Solicitor General. All this, the national government had proper legal advice on it.
To go ahead.
So they must have looked also at the law. The same constitution that we're arguing about is the same one that they've used. And they've quoted it in that Gazette notice properly and said, look, this is what the Constitution allows us to do. So we are allowed to actually have a conversation between the two levels of government and transfer some powers. Now, the procedure is the other issue. It takes place within 14 days, and then they shall be notified to the National Assembly, and therefore it shall also be notified to the County Assembly. There shall be public participation. So all that has been captured in the Gazette notice. The thing is, where is the cart? Where is the horse?
Exactly. Have they signed?
They've already signed.
It's been signed.
How do you publish a Gazette notice and then have public participation?
Yes.
So process is as much a question when you're discussing legality. So yes, national can transfer to counties. In fact, the argument has been local governments used to run primary level education. If you look at institutions, if you look at Kileleshwa Primary School, for instance, Kilimani Primary School, they're really run down. They were performing much better under the local authorities. National government can transfer management of primary schools to county governments and say, you used to do this, you're closer to the ground, you run them. But there is a process that must be followed. Equally, counties can transfer their functions. So it's not the issue of if they can, It's the process.
It's a process.
And process is also part of the constitutionally required. So
Out of 25 marks, 20 marks goes to
no,
process.
no. If process is wrong, it's a zero-sum game.
But does process trump necessity? Because the city does need to run and the delivery of services do need to be given. And we are told here on the Daily Nation's page 2, the story that's in line with that, they say the result, Mr. Sonko presented himself to City Hall as City Hall's Alpha and Omega, adopting unorthodox ways of leadership, and the result was service delivery suffered, revenue collection fell, mounds of garbage continued to deface the city, and the Matatu madness and congestion in the central business district continued. The capital that controls almost 24% of Kenya's gross domestic product was literally staring at a full-blown crisis after years of running in autopilot mode. So when you weigh the two, procedure and how things should be done, and the actual reality on the ground, and the shame of this garbage and the look of the city, and we're saying that Nairobi is the face of Kenya to the international world, then what is more important?
Many cases that come to court
Yeah.
are thrown out on procedure. Someone didn't follow the right procedure, someone put the horse before the cart, and
Right.
believe me, that case will not move forward. Procedure is important. And if you look at what the Constitution states, the Constitution is actually very much about procedure. What happens before what is done before something is done. When you talk about public participation, the whole idea behind public participation was so that the people for whom this Constitution is supposed to work for have a say. So you have that public participation. That's what the BBI is trying to claim that they are doing. The rallies are supposed to be public participation.
Those are not,
No. If you really stretch the meaning of public participation,
Yeah, this is it.
Wow.
yes.
If you stretch it to
If
within
you
an
really
inch of
stretch
life,
it,
yes,
it could be
then
because
it's seen as
the public is there, they're participating and listening to what they're being told. So yes, it is.
And by acclamation, they're endorsing whatever has been said.
Yes,
I don't
exactly.
agree. Those are political rallies.
Yes, they are basically.
That's different
yeah.
from public
So
participation.
then I would ask, then what is it? Is it a pact, an agreement, or is it something that literally binding by law?
This
Again,
is a deed.
again,
man. It's gone.
procedure here.
It's
It's
done.
gone, yes, but questions have been raised.
Yeah.
Is this an ad infinitum situation? Is it that they're going to do this forever and ever? Is it going to be there for a week? Is it going
it
to be
an
there for a
intervention?
month? What exactly
Yes.
is it?
Exactly.
So it's clear. It's for a period of at least 2 years. There shall be an annual reporting to the National Assembly on the progress of this agreement, of this transfer of powers. Of course, the next point that's going to happen is we are going to notify the National Assembly and the County Assembly of Nairobi. We are also going to ensure that there is public participation on this.
Okay,
This,
procedure.
fait
What should
accompli.
have preceded? What should have gone
should it-
before
should
the
it
other?
have
Should they have
happened?
signed this thing or had those discussions before signing?
We will have this discussion in detail between 7 and 8, and we're hoping to get some insight from lawyers. But also, of course, there'll be a lawyer who interprets it this way and another lawyer who interprets the same law in a different way. Just to hear, for example, does the law clearly stipulate the procedure? Or is it assumed that public participation shall begin and then we shall end with the signing of the deed? Or is it assumed at some point that because there is public participation, because it's not coming into effect for the next 14 days, within those 14 days, you have the opportunity for public participation?
Latif, there is no lacuna here. There is no gap in terms of the interpretation of public participation. And the idea that an agreement has been signed before public participation has taken place, before this provision has been taken to the county assembly, in itself is problematic. And are there provisions in law? Yes, there are provisions in law. When a county is not performing, there are mechanisms that can be instituted to save the county. So national government can step in, but there is a mechanism. And there are safeguards to ensure we do not re-centralize. National government cannot take over, but they can step in if there's financial mismanagement.
Yep.
Right.
In a situation where the governor, where we don't have a governor, we don't have a deputy, what the speaker should have done is invoke the provisions to take us into
An election.
So the thing is, there are safeguards. This is a bit unusual because of the fact that it's a court order that has removed the governor from that position. But by the same token, how is he signing an agreement with the president? So this is illegal. And the Solicitor General and AG have given advice to the government, to the president, that has then been overturned by the courts. So it's about rule of law.
The governor
it's
is
going
still
to
in
be.
office.
Yeah.
He's still the governor of Nairobi. The governor is still able to reshuffle his cabinet and his chief officers.
And in this
That's
case,
why
he
he's
says-
done that.
Right,
Yeah.
and he says in
And
this case he's not able to run things as it
Mm-hmm,
were, and says, look, you know what, I need help, guys.
In reality, though, some of those functions that have been taken over have been run by the national government for the last 2 years.
That's not
the
true.
National the city rehabilitation program has been running infrastructure projects.
That's not true. And whether that, and even if that has happened, has it been happening legally? Because it was challenged. In fact, the clerk who, the previous clerk, who is now under investigation, had
The county secretary.
no, the clerk of the county assembly had raised this issue with the national government and said, yes, you have a regeneration program. It is good to have a regeneration program where national and county governments work together. But there needs to be clarity, because the question becomes, who is accountable? So
Yeah.
the regeneration program in itself has been problematic. And so what the point I want to bring here is about rule of law. And the other point I want to bring up here is that national government has a problem with Nairobi being run as a county. And they've stated that from the word go. There's a bill to re-centralize Nairobi, and that bill, has not been